Welcome to Transforming and Thriving with best friends Brooke and Stacie,
a podcast dedicated to women sharing their inspirational stories.
Hey there, everyone. We are so excited for our first episode. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Stacie. We are so thrilled to be joined by not only a dear friend of ours, but an incredible human being, Neelia Heydt. I first met Neelia when she was my realtor during actually a major transition in my own life. And when I first met her, I was struck by her dedication to helping others and her incredibly positive attitude. I'll let her share her story in more depth, but I just wanted to share my experience as a friend witnessing her transformation from the sidelines over the past few years. I've honestly been moved by her resilience and her unwavering perseverance as she's gone on a journey starting with a sudden and unexpected ER visit, resulting in immediate brain surgery while far away from home, and an initially very grim brain cancer prognosis. After rounds of chemo and radiation, alternative treatments abroad, and many major lifestyle changes, this profoundly strong woman has since dedicated herself to the mission of working less and living more. I strongly feel like stories like hers need to be shared. And for me personally, strongly motivated the birth of this podcast, in fact.
Yeah, welcome, Neelia. We're so happy to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm already tearing up.
Oh, sorry.
Well, we are so honored to have you on our show and for our very first podcast interview. Like Stacie said, we're really happy to share your story. It's very inspiring to us personally. And I met you through Stacie when I was in search for an apartment. I was going through a big transition and I was immediately drawn to your positive energy. I have just been so grateful to have you as a part of my life, and I'm really just happy to have you here. So thank you.
I'm so stoked to be here, and I'm so excited to be a part of this. Yes, and I loved meeting you both, and you both have been amazing in my life as well.
Air hugs, air hugs.
Virtual air hugs.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, let's dive in. Like you said, obviously, Stacie and I know your story and find it inspiring, but we do want to share and make sure as many people hear it. So I know you've spent some time journaling your experience, and would you mind sharing a little bit about your before and after the diagnosis? What's different for you?
Absolutely. So to clarify, I was diagnosed with a malignant form of brain cancer. I was just shy the age of 40. And so I guess my life before, I was a workaholic. My priorities were, what's the closest happy hour and who am I going to hang out with this weekend? And it consisted of these 7-day work weeks. But that's kind of just the way I've always been. And my goal was getting home as soon as possible, opening up a bottle of wine to start with dinner. I have a glass while I'm making dinner. And then, on exhausting days, my husband, Jason, and I would go out and after an open house and we would go have sushi. And our first discussion was what cocktail are we going to start with? And then we'll basically choose a bottle of wine to have with our dinner.
It was a work hard, play harder lifestyle, rinse and repeat. I was overindulging, overworked, and probably a poor influence of drinking to those that I cared about and having a little too much, maybe unhealthy fun. I was a workaholic, a stressaholic, a complete people pleaser, happily maintaining 2 separate jobs, consistently addicted to the fast-paced, multitasking, stressful environment I created for myself. Being a realtor, it has somewhat flexible hours. So I figured, why not work more than 60 plus hours so that we can buy, save up, go on vacation or do whatever we wanted. So then came my after. I actually went on a mini vacation, took a little bit of a break with my aunt in Minnesota, and I woke up high as a kite, on whatever was being pushed through my IV in a beautiful hospital room overlooking the Mississippi. Had no idea of why I was there and out of care, but wow, check out the view, huh? Where am I? So I look up and I'm groggy, but Jason and my mother are sitting in a hospital bed crying, looking at me. And I'm a little confused. I look up at their teary-eyed faces and said, "Thanks for coming." The meds start to taper off, and the doctors enter asking a plethora of questions. In comes this beautiful doctor, Dr. Samadani. She walks in and she intros herself as a new neurosurgeon at this hospital in St. Cloud, Minnesota, from Minneapolis with her this amazing resume. And she shares that she is confident and would like to perform a resection to remove the tumor instead of a biopsy. Huh. Well, that's new.
I cannot even begin to imagine how scary and confusing that must have been to wake up in the hospital and have your doctor say they want to immediately perform a resection of a tumor. So, what typically happens when they find a brain tumor?
So the typical process is first they do or schedule a biopsy. And then depending on the tumor or the protocol, they schedule what you call a resection. So this basically bypassed all that. So I guess I'm having surgery.
And so I'm like, okay, wow. Well, actually, my first thought was, shit, I won't make it back. Oops, am I allowed to say that?
Yep, you're good.
But I won't make it back to the office on Monday. Like, I can't have surgery. I got work to do.
So they continue to share while I'm lying there that I had 4 tonic-clonic seizures, also called grand mal seizures. I was taken by ambulance and now in this room, heavily sedated. I was apparently in the ER. I wasn't breathing and I wouldn't stop seizing in the ambulance and the ER. So the surgeon continues to confer with Jason and they wheel me into surgery. I wake up in a room of visitors. I can't feel a thing, maybe a little giggly and groggy. Everyone kind of looks at me stoically. I have a headband of stitches and dried blood from ear to ear. Clearly, I wasn't offered up a mirror. The meds kind of started tapering off when a nurse came in and alerted Jason that they'll be removing my catheter and sending in a physical therapist to train him on how to use body straps to take me to the bathroom since I might not be able to walk. Okay, well, that never occurred to me that I could possibly lose mobility. It was definitely a sobering moment. Okay, so the good news, bad news. Okay, I now have to pee. This means I have to physically move. We strap up and my toes tentatively tap the floor. I slowly put one foot in front of the other. Oh, okay, I can walk. Hooray. Everyone can take a breath. Phew. I continue recovery for a week in Minnesota before they allowed us to fly home, thinking, yippee, not too shabby for, cutting open your skull and apparently peeling your face back. Hopefully they put it back on correctly. I sure hope so. I'm swollen as a pufferfish and bruised all over like I was hit by a bus face first. But yet I am walking with some hand holding, slower than a tortoise, have a gnarly headache. But I'm tapering myself off the concoction of pain meds that they've given me. Yet I am literally walking and talking, using all of my limbs, bodily functions, mobility. I really can't complain. We go to the airport, lots of concerned looks and at the airport, but whatever, who cares? I'm on my way home, surgery's behind us, all is right in the world. So a couple weeks go by. I'm at home, slight headache, but all is good, miles falling, and I receive a call from Dr. Samadani, that neurosurgeon. And she says, "How are you?" And I'm like, "Great, how are you?" And she said, "Is Jason home with you?" I said, "No, I have a friend here visiting." She said, "Okay, well, maybe I'll call back later when he gets home since I want to discuss your pathology." Well, no, please. That's okay. I'd rather not wait if possible. Well, the biopsy results come back and they are malignant versus benign. She continues, "Do you understand what that means? I would really like you to follow up with a referral. I'm going to send you to UCLA so that you can continue care in California. Please make an appointment as soon as possible. Okay, thanks for calling.
Wow, that's a lot to process. What were the next steps then?
So we schedule an appointment at UCLA. We enter in the UCLA neuro-oncology. Wow, what a wide-eyed awakening surprise. There's wheelchairs and bald heads and pale, gaunt faces. I'm officially tripping out, trying to pretend that this is normal and feeling very surreal. I need a break. I need to leave this waiting room, step outside, and wait to be called from the hallway. I don't really belong here, right? Oof. So the doctor calls us in and he continues and he puts up these images on his computer and he says, "Here's your MRI. They have partially resected the tumor, which means they partially have removed it. Some of it, the remaining portion is too close to one of my ventricles. And that bump on your forehead, it's permanent. There's titanium plates on your skull." And basically continues, "Here's the protocols for your diagnosis." So what we do. So first surgery, okay, check. Chemo and radiation. Oh, okay. And then we continue to monitor with MRIs to see if it grows or spreads. Alrighty. Okay, I got this. Okay. So we put on a brave face and leave into the LA traffic and start Googling. Really bad idea. The average person with an anaplastic astrocytoma prognosis, it's hard to say. The prognosis is typically 7 years. Okay, well, I guess at least it's not one, right?
Gosh, that had to have been so overwhelming to sit there and try to process all this new information and then to try to go home and make sense of these new terms and try to figure out what your new reality is going to be. So, what was next for you, and what were some of the immediate changes that you made?
We get through the next few years with so many appointments and disappointments, learning curves, speed bumps, confusion. Jason, my husband, is determined to find a cure, additional treatment, trials overseas. Um, you know, while I groggily try to be normal and try to continue and work, it's becoming apparent that I have to taper back. That was a little tough to process.
Absolutely. I cannot imagine going from working 7 days a week and just go nonstop to thinking about not working entirely or cutting back like you needed to.
Yeah, you were so used to such a fast-paced working environment. I imagine that was really challenging to make that mental shift, that something that was so part of your everyday needed to change. How would you say your perspective and mindset shifted as a result of all this?
This kind of led me to the requirement of adjusting priorities, trying to put a smile on my face whenever possible for myself and those who care about me and are around me, staying healthy, hydrated, adapting to new routines of exercising or walking, per doctor's orders. I had never been a healthy, motivated, you know, group class driven type of person. So this was a change for me. Now it's been almost 5 years, and I am forever grateful for this interesting journey. Feel like I couldn't have been luckier considering the circumstances. I had the best surgeon, happened to be in Minnesota. I married someone committed for better or for worse, literally. I have a wonderful family that dropped everything to be there for us. I have amazing friends that I'm so dearly blessed with. My diagnosis wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. I got through 2 years of chemo and radiation with more really good days than bad. And I am really embracing and loving my enthusiasm for exercising, having a healthy routine, and a mission for balance. I am technically still transforming and learning. I think for me specifically, it is important to have a positive mindset, enjoy alcohol now socially, but not rely on it daily. It's become a quality, not quantity friendships. learn and set healthy boundaries and limit expectation, right? I'm still learning, sharing time with our amazing friends and family, maybe taking those road trips and slowing down, enjoying the little things in life that, maybe I took for granted before. I actually have this fun little mantra that I try to say every day. It's called JIG PW, and it's my personal daily mantra, but the J is for joy. You can find joy in almost anything. I is for impermanence. Nothing is permanent, including suffering and chemo, hopefully. G, gratitude. There's always something you can find to be grateful for. P, personally. So don't take things personally. You never know what someone else is going through. And the W is wonder. Come from a place of wonder versus judgment.
I'm so profoundly impressed and inspired and moved by how you have moved through all of this and your perspective on everything and how you've been able to literally use this as fuel. And one of the things that we talked about and the whole why of this podcast is like making meaning out of the muck or making meaning out of the mess and the image of the lotus flower. And I feel like you just encapsulate all of that. And it's just so beautiful to hear how you've gone through something so completely life changing and you've been so resilient. And I think the whole idea of transforming and thriving are always in process, right? But you just are a perfect example of someone who is taking an experience and growing from it and like using it as an opportunity to reflect on like what's important. And I'm curious to hear, like kind of going back a little bit, what are some of the things or people that kind of helped you move through it when you were going through all the chemo radiation, that whole stage of a couple of years?
Yeah. Well, I have to say a nod to you because you had told me early on when I wasn't feeling well. I think I mentioned earlier, like I've always been a people pleaser or a yes man kind of thing. And you, I think you saw me having challenging times or being tired or exhausted. And you specifically told me, I think multiple times, like it's okay to say no. And especially it was your shower in Long Beach. And you said, you don't have to go. It's okay for you to, if you want to come for a little while, whatever it is, people are going to understand. And that was a huge learning lesson for me, not just through treatment, but actually in life, like now even I'm not on treatment anymore and I still continue to incorporate that lesson that you taught me. And then I had these amazing friends that kind of came over that had been through cancer or had shared their experience or kind of just like wanted us to vent and chat. And and I think that was interesting because if you ever talk to somebody with cancer, a lot of times they feel like they're alone, even though that they have people around you. Or, I meet someone else with brain cancer. It's not the exact same kind. So it's a little bit different. And so it's like this weird, very lonely little bubble and you're in chemo fog and it's like your ears aren't clear. And it's like you literally are in your own head. So having people like come to you, I never went to support groups. So having people come to me and kind of like give me their come to Jesus of like, hey, you need to do this, this, and this, such as like you need to be mindful of what other people do and are sharing around you, how that's draining your energy, or maybe how they're going to react to you. So I didn't know that I was going to lose friends, but then I didn't know I was also people were going to step up to the plate and like be more supportive. So it kind of went both ways. But yes, I would say those are a few of the highlights that come to mind.
Yeah, I'm just again so impressed by your perspective and the amount of gratitude that you've infused into your daily practices in life. I think it's inspiring to me, and it's a good reminder of how important it is to have, they said in my previous field, my previous life, an attitude of gratitude. I'm curious for listeners who might be navigating their own challenges similar to yours or maybe different. If you have any advice or words of encouragement or inspiring thoughts to help them stay resilient or be strong or anything that you think might help.
Yeah. So first, I think it's really important for people to know it's not their fault. You know, there is no medical or science that backs up like this is your fault that you were diagnosed with cancer. So I think a lot of people are like, why me, or what did I do? You know, was I on my cell phone too long? Did I use the wrong deodorant? Did I not eat enough kale? You know, you can't blame yourself. You're already going through so much. It's not going to behoove you to do that. So I think one, realize it's not your fault. Follow your gut. Have, you know, your team surround you to learn to say no. And I think also it was really hard for me to ask for help. It was really strange to have people deliver food. But then at the end of the day, it wasn't just helping me, it was helping also my caregiver, who was my husband. And I think you have to learn to like ask for help or be okay in asking for help. But I think you have to also learn to control the controllables, write things down, write a journal. If you have children, maybe you need to discuss with that partner on how you can best come together and share, or what do you want to share with your family or children, and how, you know, maybe mommy's feeling a little sick today. I think that is a great to also have a therapist to help you navigate through things, because, you know, I've never been through this before. So I needed someone to guide me, like a therapist. And that was great. I am not really good with support groups. You know, this is my coming place of judgment, but I feel like sometimes support groups are there and it's just people like venting and complaining. And I hate to say that because that does sound like a very judgmental word, and rightfully so. But that wasn't for me. So I sought a therapist, and that was amazing.
All of that is such helpful advice, Neelia, and really a great reminder for anybody going through a challenge or difficult time. If something's not working for you, or you feel stuck with the tools that you're trying to use, it might be time to try something different, or really look at where you're putting your energy. Do what works for you. And, you know, thank you for sharing those specific ideas as well with our listeners. Just wanted to see if there's any final thoughts that you had, or things that you wanted to share and leave us with.
Well, I could share like what I did going through my treatment, because I felt very lucky in a sense of the approach that I took. And so maybe that's something I could share with you on a PDF, because it's quite a bit. And if you want to share that with your listeners, to do that.
Yeah, we would absolutely love any tips and words of wisdom from you. We'd be happy to post that on our website. We'll share that information in the show notes, as well as on our Instagram.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for providing additional resources too. I'm sure that would be of benefit to so many people. And thanks for just being so open and honest and sharing your story with us. I know I've heard bits and pieces of it, but it's interesting just to hear the whole story in this way, and more of an interview for a podcast where you're describing all this for strangers as well. But I know for me, it's been incredibly inspiring to hear about your journey and all the lessons you've learned. You obviously have the opportunity to touch so many people with your story and their lives, not only those who maybe are going through or have gone through something similar, but also their loved ones, like you've mentioned, the caregivers that also are helping to support. I think this might be very valuable for them to hear as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to help.
Yes, thank you so much, Neelia, for being here with us today and sharing your journey with everyone. To all of our listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of Transforming and Thriving. If you find these stories as inspiring as we do, please follow us on your favorite podcast app, and follow us on Instagram so you can be part of this community and stay up to date with each episode. Check out our website as well at transformingandthriving.com for resources and a deeper dive into each woman's story. We're all in this crazy life together, so let's move through it together. See you there.